What is up, my beautiful people? Exile451 here again today, coming at you with a daily dose of Reddit happy. Gonna mix things up a bit and dive into r/Tales from Call Centers today. Somewhere you wouldn't really expect to find anything good, but I managed to dig up some nice ones. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you like the video. Now sit back, relax, and let's hear some good stories from call centers. Happy story from Roadside Assistance. I work for a large, membership-based National Emergency Road Service Club. My job is to take the info from people who are broken down about their location, vehicle, and where they would like it to be towed, etc. This story happened on my Friday, which was actually Wednesday, before I was supposed to leave work. The next day, I was planning on going to the Emerald City Comic-Con, the first day of the con. This is important. That night, I got a call from an out-of-state member needing a long-distance tow across the pass into Seattle. When I asked where they wanted it towed, they said any shop as long as it was close to the convention center. I said, "Oh, you're going to Comic-Con." They were surprised that I knew and said they were vendors with a booth. So I said that our call center for the region was local and I was going the next day. I don't think they believed me. I managed to get them faster service, nerds of the world unite, because they needed to set up that night. It's a long story which is full of little things peculiar to my job, but I went way out of my way for these people, and they knew it. I clocked out and the next day went to the con. The first thing I did was visit their booth. I picked up a really cool necklace they were selling and said I wanted to buy it. As I got out my wallet, I said, well, the real reason is that I wanted to make sure you guys made it here okay. They looked at me and slowly comprehension dawned on their faces. The look on their faces was priceless. "Oh! You're the roadside assistance lady! Oh my gosh!" They got so excited and they were really, really grateful and tried to give me the necklace free, but I insisted on paying. When I wouldn't take it, they gave me a free lanyard instead and wouldn't let me leave without taking it. It made my year. I now wear my work badge on that lanyard to remind me that not everyone is an ungrateful snob. Every time I see that lanyard, I feel good about myself and my job. Well, OP, you should feel good about yourself and your job. That is customer service way above and beyond what most people expect. And, you're right. Not everyone is going to be an ungrateful snob when they call in. I'm glad that these people weren't and that they made your year. Thank you so much for sharing. A happy story. I am so happy to share a good story for once. While I've most definitely had more neutral/pleasant calls than negative, the negative ones usually stand out in my mind much more. I don't think I'll forget this call though. So, I work for a local ISP. We actually do Tier 1 support for a few other ISPs nearby, but in our own city. We were only providing DSL internet service off a famously terrible phone company's, FTPC, phone lines, not our own infrastructure. FTPC recently decided they were no longer allowing ISPs to utilize their lines to provide internet, and so all customers with us were either going to have to go directly to this company for internet or find an alternate provider. Now, for the most part, I'm happy that we'll no longer have to support these connections because they generally were very low-speed plans with bad service, and troubleshooting them usually meant trying to get FTPC to admit there's a problem and schedule a tech. However, we've had a lot of customers who have been with us for 15 to 20 years who now have to leave us, and many are sad to be leaving because our call center gives great 24/7 support and FTPC does not. Anyway, on to my call. I call this lovely older lady who has already called FTPC to get her services switched to them. Although her service is now active with them, they won't walk her through configuring the modem she has there, which she bought from us only a few months ago, to work on their network. I gamely assist her logging into the modem, but the modem won't respond properly to let us change the settings. Since she is already on their network, I cannot log in remotely to her modem to make these changes. She also lives too far away to bring the modem to our office to configure it for her. So, we're basically stuck and cannot get this almost brand new modem to work. FTPC is scheduled to come out on Tuesday to fix her connection, but this means she'll need to buy a new modem from them, as they told her they refuse to touch the third-party modem. As a senior citizen on a fixed income, having to buy 2 new modems in a year is a lot. I feel absolutely terrible that I cannot help her get our modem to work but she is so sweet and thankful to my company for good support for all those years. She is staying as an email-only customer with us, so that's something. I decide to ask customer service if we can at least do a partial refund for this lady, since the modem is only a few months old and this is such a tough situation. Happily, the CSR approves the refund. A full refund at that. So I got to call her back and give her the good news. I gotta tell you all, I have never felt so good in this job before. This job is not easy, and often I feel like I'm not really doing any good in the world doing basic tech support. But I will never forget hearing the pure relief and happiness in this kind woman's voice when she said thanks for getting her the refund. Made my entire day. Well, OP, I am like 99.9 to an infinite number sure I know exactly which company you're talking about, and if it is the one I'm thinking of, I am so sorry you have to work with them. They are terrible. But that aside, that is such a wonderful story that you were able to share with us here about being able to do something good for someone else, and how your company broke the kind of stereotype of an unfeeling corporation driven only by profit to actually make sure that this woman was taken care of. Thank you so much for sharing that story. That really actually lifted me up today, and I'm so glad that you had that experience. Best experience ever. I've spent nearly 5 years working in 2 different call centers, and this particular incident has always been the highlight of it all. At this time, I was working for the first one in the CPU department. I was Tier 1 tech support for their computers. I don't remember exactly what was wrong with this man's computer, but whatever it was, he couldn't get on it to retrieve his files, or at least one file in particular. His computer was no longer covered under the repair warranty either. We did determine that it was a hardware issue, and I felt really bad for this guy. He said he was an author, and the script for his second novel was on the computer, and he did not have it backed up. I myself am a writer, and this is why his plight hit home with me. So I put him on hold and went to our Tier 2 to see if I could get him an exception for getting his computer fixed. I told them the story and what was going on, and was denied by 2 different agents. I was still determined to help this guy, and he was so nice. He waited patiently while he was on hold and was just desperate to get his files, and very grateful that I was trying to help him. So next I decided, in a last-ditch effort, that I was going to try customer relations. I talked to this very nice guy and told him what was up. I pleaded my customer's case, told him how long the customer had been with us, that he had lots of products, had a good case history, and why I was trying so hard to get him an exception. And the customer relations agent said, "Sure, no problem. I'll get him hooked up." I went back to tell the customer, and he was absolutely ecstatic. He asked for my name again and told me when his first book was going to hit stores soon, and then when the second book should if he could get it. He told me he was going to put me into the acknowledgments of that second book, which for someone like me made me super giddy. I always remember the customers and the name of his book. It was such an unusual title, so it was easy. And about 1.5 years later, when he told me that it should be out, I checked for it and found it on Amazon. I was able to view the acknowledgments section in their little preview option, and saw that it has indeed come to be. There I was listed and thanked for my customer service. Come to think of it, that's probably the best experience I've ever had to date in any job. I even bought a copy of the book later on just because it has my name in it. It's like a small trophy for something small yet good I've accomplished in my life. Well, OP, you very well may have saved that guy's career. I mean, publishers are so hard about deadlines usually, and to be able to help him recover the entire script so he didn't have to go through and rewrite everything, that is amazing dedication to customer service and making sure that the customer is happy. You are a great person, and I'm so glad to hear that this guy kept his word and put you into his book. How about a good story? Made a call center employee's day a few weeks ago. One of my favorite things to do. Oh, and most definitely mine. My wife and I worked for and retired from the same airline. We were both in the call center department doing various jobs the whole time. She passed away very peacefully, and I knew it was coming for years. And as retirees, we lost the option for purchasing additional insurance, but still retained a $10,000 basic life policy with a huge life insurance company. Not a huge amount for an insurance policy, but hey, it would get her taken care of and a little much-needed vacation for me and the doggo. The check came amazingly quickly after I applied for it. I knew what it was, so left it in the envelope for a couple of days until I was headed in the bank's direction. So that day, I opened it. It was for $6,000, not $10,000. Huh? So I called the insurance company just for an explanation. I wasn't going to take them on, but just wondered why. So I called, and this was our conversation after the opening. She had a great phone voice. So I was just wondering why this is for $6,000 instead of $10,000. Could you bear with me for a moment while I investigate? On hold for no more than 30 seconds, definitely came back with a lift to her voice. OP, do you have the actual check there with you? Yes. Take another look at the check. The check was for $60,000, not $6,000. Apparently, there was interest involved. She laughed, I felt like an idiot, but saw the humor too, and most definitely laughed. We wound up laughing like a couple of dang fools. Well, I believe it was Albert Einstein who once said there's no force greater in the universe than that of compound interest. At least that's what I've been told anyway. But OP, that is a great story, and not to mention quite lucrative for you. I mean, you got 6 times the payout you were expecting. Of course, it is sad to hear that your wife passed away. You never take joy in hearing about that, but that is such a nice thing that you were able to stay so calm and collected and not flip out on her for something that wasn't her fault when it was an issue that you very easily could have been upset over. Thank you so much for sharing this, and I'm glad that you're able to take a much bigger vacation than I think you initially anticipated. Again, sorry about your wife, but that is a wonderful story, and thank you so much for sharing. Thank you all so much for coming by today. I truly appreciate all of you tuning in and supporting the channel like you have been. The number of subs keeps going up, the number of views is jumping way up, and I couldn't be more grateful to each and every one of you. If you liked the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, as it really helps get the channel seen more and brings more positivity into people's lives. Thank you again so much for coming here today. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.